today we're going to be talking with Derrick Grace. Derrick Grace is a #1 selling author on Amazon, a motivational speaker, and a self-taught homeschool educator for his children. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Ian.
I'm good. So can you tell us a little bit about the work you do?
Yeah, like you said, I'm a homeschool instructor. I've been doing that for roughly 2 years now. Working on book number 3, but my second book, like I said, did go #1 on Amazon. Outside of that, I do speaking engagements as well, private entities, colleges, universities, things of that nature, just going around sharing my perspective, how I started, and my thoughts on, I started a movement called Unlearn and Relearn, and that's pretty much just us getting our own individual perspective on the world around us. There's a lot of people that's living with traditions and conditions, and a lot of them don't even know why they do what they do. So I'm real big on logic, so that's one of the biggest things I focus on with self-love, self-reliance, self-education, and self-awareness.
Okay, and where does your passion stem from?
Where does it stem from? It started, I got into entrepreneurship back in 2012, so around April is going to make 5 years that I've been an entrepreneur. But previously, before that, it was based on a few things. Where I was previously employed, I was a 911 dispatcher. My father is now roughly around like 30 years Secret Service. And then I got a brother who's doing a 15-year bid as well. So I was able to see the game from several different perspectives. And my mom was a school teacher, so I saw a lot of different elements, whether it was on the illegal, the legal, the positive, negative, whatever the case was. So once I left the job from being a 911 dispatcher, I realized then a lot of times we don't recognize how solely reliant we are on strangers for opportunity until they actually snatch it. Very minute things like bottles of water, grains of rice, socks for the winter. It's cold outside right now, we need jackets. But we're solely relying on a stranger to pass that down and to hit us off with a ration to feed our babies. So that was one of the biggest things. It's actually the reason why I jumped into entrepreneurship, because I told myself I would never, ever, ever be relying on anybody else again to feed me, clothe me, whatever the case was. Outside of that, around that same time, that's when the event with Trayvon Martin happened. And just like I said, just being exposed to several different worlds from my upbringing, my family, my brother, XYZ, I just felt, not even just myself, but I feel like all men have a responsibility to double back and do what they can to better the generation coming behind them. Otherwise, I mean, my biggest thing, I believe there's no evolution in raising another youth. So if we all dying out the same way our grandparents came in, then, you know, we're just taking up space at that point.
So what and who inspires you?
Who inspires me? I would say, I would definitely say my father. I would definitely say my brother. Even, I mean, next year makes 10 years he's been gone, but still, he still inspires me to this day. Really outside of that, I would say that's it. Those are the only two men that I've ever really looked up to or felt like I wanted to emulate at some point in my life.
So how did they feel about your life choices, the tattoos on your face, leaving law enforcement?
Quick story, which is real funny. Like, when I lost a job as a 911 dispatcher, because supposedly to the common world, that's a great job to have. That's, you know, you get benefits, you get vacation, you get XYZ. So to them, you know, that's hooray, you doing your thing. So when I actually left that, and I told, because I started a shirt business in 2012. That was my when I transitioned, that was my idea. So you can only imagine when you go from making a $32,000 salary and people thinking that's awesome, and you tell them like, yeah, I'm gonna sell shirts for a living. You got 2 babies, 2 cars, a house, all these things you've acquired with a salary. Absolutely nobody was going for it. I had like one cousin I was like, yeah, do it. The rest of them was like, nah, that's not gonna work. You're tripping. Get a job and focus on this. But I've always been a person like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm all in. I don't believe in plan B's. I'm plan A all the way. A gonna work, and that's the only choice we got. So that's what really initiated the facial tattoos. I had a couple. I mean, I have, even back then, I had my neck. I got my neck all the way down to my feet done. But I never hit the face for that purpose. I'm like, you know, I got to get a job elsewhere or the current job I had. So I was dealing with 3 issues at that point. I'm a huge procrastinator, even still to this day. If you tell me to do something, you give me 6 months. At 5 months and 20 days, I'm gonna go knock it out. I'm gonna wait till the last 10 days. I'm gonna get busy. I'm gonna cram. I'm gonna knock it out. And at that point, I wanted to disconnect myself from corporate America altogether. And I knew one of the best ways to do that was, like, to this day, I got 35 tattoos on my face. McDonald's wouldn't let me work a register. They probably wouldn't let me clean their bathrooms, because I scare somebody's child coming in there at the wrong time of night. So that was the biggest reason behind the facial tattoos. I just wanted a 100% disconnect. And again, with the procrastination, I'm one of the people, and I'm sure a lot of people can agree, a lot of us, we work very well under pressure. So once I put that pressure on myself, it's really win or bust at that point. You either got to make it as an entrepreneur or, you know, you're going to be homeless and you got babies depending on you. So, you know, that's a no-go all the way around.
What do some of your tattoos mean?
The ABC stands for adversity builds character. I think it's way too many people that actually know the obstacle in front of them, but they don't really have the heart or the intangible, so they try to duck it. They try to go around it. I'm a firm believer you got to go through it, and you go through it, and you're going to grow through it. I believe in wins, but I don't believe in losses. The only L's we take a lesson. So we're going to learn from absolutely everything we go through. So the ABC is for adversity builds character. I got the black fist over here with the African colors. That one is red, green, and black, but you know that one is self-explanatory. I got L4C on this side. That stands for limitations for cowards. And pretty much just a reminder that, you know, to maximize your potential. And I say this all the time. I think everybody got gifts, purpose, talents, some type of superpower. But a lot of times, we don't maximize it. So they got these things called businesses and jobs that'll maximize it for you till you're 80 years old, you know, and you don't fulfill your purpose here. And some I always like to remind people, between sleeping, eating, 7 hours in a building full of strangers, and travel, you almost had like 19 hours gone in a day. There is no way that we can logically think that we are our child's biggest influencer when he spent 7 hours with a total stranger a day, and we get him for maybe 4 if we not busy doing homework or cooking. So those are like a few logical things I like to drop on people. Like, a lot of parents don't really understand that they're more of a guardian than an actual teacher or parent. You house them, you clothe them, but it's somebody else that give them all the game, all the wisdom. Or even outside of school, if you got a child that go to school 7 hours and then he go outside and play with his friends for 3 hours, you already at a disadvantage of 10 hours. They say he sleeps 7, 8. Now we're at 18. He got to eat. He got to do their homework for their curriculum. Even in school, when it comes down to the testing, logically think about it that your child is forced to, whether my information is real or not in school, especially with history, whether it's real or not, your child is almost forced to believe it, because if he doesn't believe it, he then fails his test, and I don't allow him to go to the next grade. That's the kind of stuff you got to think about when you're pushing them off into a disenfranchised system. And to me, it's not even really built for us to grow. You're going to do 2 things with the school system. You're going to fall in line or you're going to fall behind. But they're not giving us no game to really get out of that. Then when you actually beat the odds and get out of there, they got this dude called Uncle Sam who's going to try to come see about you anyway. It's just so many levels and elements pushing them off into that broken system. So that's just a few of the things I touch on in the curriculum. But pretty much, like I said, it's just us getting our own perspective and understanding on the world around us.
So what are some of the concepts you would encourage parents to teach their children if they can't take that time to homeschool them and they have to go to a public or private school? What are some of the things that they should instill in their children?
I say top 3. We need to teach our children how to plant. And that's one of the biggest ones I run into homeschool. People say, what about their social skills? And I'm like, would you rather them have plant skills or social skills? Would you rather him know how to run his mouth or know how to feed himself? And then I ask the people around me that even say that, how many of our partners that we went to school with are successful analysts and talk show hosts today? I don't know any that I went to school with the social skills. So I would say teach them how to plant. I would say teach every child how to disassemble and assemble, clean and fire a firearm. And I would say teach them self-sufficiency. Small things to invest in. This is what I did with my kids. I bought them a lemonade stand and the triple section vending machine at 5 and 8, but they turned over like $379 the first day. So I'm trying to already get them in the entrepreneurial spirit and learning how to flip money and be absolutely self-sufficient. So I would say self-sufficiency, planning, and teach them how to use a firearm.
Have you ever thought about opening a school, and how will it differ from the other schools that we have out here?
That's a good question. Yeah, I'm actually working with a few people. Because I built a relationship recently with Jill Scott, so I've actually been going back and forth with her when I do see her, because she's going to be one of the biggest supporters, you know, as far as our conversations goes. But I want to open a performance school. One thing I saw, not only in my child, but a lot of my friends, I think is 100% unfair to allow mediocrity up until they're 15. And then when they get to 9th grade, you go, because I got the same speech. You got to be grown in 3 years, so you got to be serious. You got to buckle down. You got to be for real. I want to open a performance school where we start triggering these children at 4 and 5. A lot of these kids know absolutely what they want to do, but we don't take them serious. We don't push them, you know. And we pretty much allow them to float through the system until they hit 14 and 15. And then because they're about to be adults, then we want to get serious with them. So I would want to open up a school. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure on the age limit, but I think a lot of us got geniuses at home. We just don't force them to tap into it. So of course they conform, they fall back, they dilute their intellect, and then they end up just getting by. But we would definitely focus on what these children want to do at 5 rather than waiting until they're 15. Just like I mean the same thing with high school. I know when I was there, they got like college prep. I can't remember the other prep. It's like two or three levels you could take. I would be asking my child that at 5 rather than 15 when he's already been diluted by the things of the world, and then you wait to 15 to try to straighten him out and force him to be a man at 3 years.
Okay. And do you have any advice on things that parents should limit their children having access to?
Oh yeah. I don't let my children watch television at all. And I was just having this conversation. I know you've seen the girl that's 13. That was on Dr. Phil, right?
Yeah.
The fact that she got 5 million followers and is doing bookings and hosting, that is a sign right there that like we have to detach, especially our children who are impressionable. We have to detach them from television and things of that nature. Like if this is what we salute and this is what we honoring in 2017, then that's a problem. So my kids, we do have Fire Stick. They watch a lot of Martin. But as far as television, no, we don't mess with the TV at all. I do require them to like spend a certain amount of time outside. Even with relationships with their cousins and their friends, because I get this a lot at my seminars. Parents are asking me like, my son went off to college, he's just out of control. And I'm like, he really was never in control. You was never his biggest influencer because he hung with his dogs more than he hung with you when he got home. He hung with them in school or girls that got boyfriends. And mom wondering like, damn, why I can't get through to her but this boy can't? He's essentially become her daddy because he spent more time with her than you do as a mom. So I would say excessive time, cut the television. Definitely got to cut back on like certain things in the diet. Like I urge anybody with kids that